ready?
Are you ready?
I said they had them crunching corn.
Are you ready? I'll talk for the both of us for now.
Good. So I got to crunch this out. ASMR.
Hello and welcome to Rhythm and Pixels. We're a video game music podcast. This is episode 31-6 of the finest video game music podcasting you're about to hear. My name is Rob Nichols.
And I just swallowed a carrot.
And every week, we listen to great video game musics and swallow carrots.
Hobbitses.
We listen to great video game music from all consoles and all generations. We pick a topic, we pick some tunes, we listen to the music, we analyze it, we look at it under a microscope, we pick out the best parts of your childhood, stick it on a podcast so you can listen to it in a car while dropping your kids off at work.
You can listen in a car, you can listen in a bar, you can listen on a star, you can listen near or far, you can listen in the day, you can listen in the night. You can't listen on the can. Well, you can if you're nice. All those times, all those places, you can listen to this podcast and have a good time doing it, hopefully.
Close to that microphone there. Yeah.
Yeah, boy. Yeah. Which remind me, speaking of that, I thought I was kind of chuckled at the idea that so Snoop Dogg is doing a halftime show for the Super Bowl this year.
Oh,
and
nice.
He also just bought the record company that he released his first album on.
Yeah,
and
I saw that headline.
Coming across all of that news, my brain went to this weird place where I'm like, crap, I'm old. And Snoop Dogg is older. And he's still thriving. He's doing all this stuff. What is going on? How is he still in the news? Like, vehemently in the news. And
well, it's because, like, you gotta love him, right? He's still Snoop Dogg. Somehow he's still best friends with Martha Stewart.
Oh yeah, they get along great.
Oh, he still smokes weed every day.
Every day.
I mean, but like he's just like, I don't know, he's like the Andrew WK of the hip hop world.
I can see that.
He's gonna get older
he's
and
about
cooler.
less foul though, but he's not foul.
But he's not foul, no.
Like, I'm sure he curses in his own time, but I feel like he either doesn't curse in public settings, or if he does, he's so chill about it, I've never noticed.
Yeah, he's the chillest man on the world.
Whereas I am the opposite of chill. I am always energized, even when I'm not, and just loud.
Yeah, that's got the Wawa. Is this coffee here?
It is coffee. Now that I remember that mug. So I have one of those mugs at the Wawa where you get a discounted refill, and the moment I remembered that I had it after having it for like 2 years, I was like, I better start using this thing. And the first time I got used to it, I was like, this is effective. Why did I ever not do this? And now I just, every time I come for the recording of the show, I have to bring my refillable Wawa cup. I'm not getting paid to say that. I swear.
I feel like, Purnell, you're in New Game Plus, and you've come back with all of the extra Wawa coffee that like you didn't drink in your first playthrough.
Well, no, they just keep giving me more. Oh. They continue to supply me with the coffee, and the caffeine already burned through me. So I don't know what I could have carried over from previous sessions. Maybe the blood pressure.
I mean, if they keep giving it to you, then you just
heart rate.
The heart rate, yeah, it's the heart rate. You carried over your heart rate.
There it is.
It's not hit points. It's heart points.
Beep, 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 beep.
Gotta pump that blood.
I just gotta get it through my system, which, by the way, always throws me for a loop.
Yeah, get it through your system and then out the door. You gotta give it away.
Yes. Give it away. Give it a win there. But like, I don't know. Like I've always been a tea guy, and then one day I just started drinking coffee, and now I think what it boils down to is that coffee is easier to access on the go without sugar in it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, a lot of tea needs sweetener. Not all of it does, but for sure.
For me, I drink no tea. None of my tea has sweetener. But if you buy it out and about, it's likely gonna have sweetener.
Yes,
like you can't. If you're not going to a tea house, which doesn't count as out and about, it's a specialty location. If you're going out and about and you want a glass of tea, cold or hot, well, you're not getting it hot. If you want it cold, it's going to have sugar.
Yeah.
At most, I've come across maybe one or two vendors that will offer one non-sweetened version, which is rare to see because companies believe people don't want to drink unsweetened beverages, so they don't even stock it.
I know. Well, I drink tea every day.
Drink tea every day.
I definitely sweeten my tea.
Sweetened tea some days.
With milk, too. Or, the oat milk that I like so
milk
much.
and honey.
Yeah, honey, too. Honey's good. I like Earl Grey. I like PG Tips. I like Red Rose tea. That's what I
like big games, and I cannot lie.
we're gonna come around to all of these like classic hip hop references at some point.
Which is the funniest thing because I never was into hip hop.
That's
like
okay.
I grew up listening to it, but I was never right into it. Like, you know how it goes, like when you're young, whatever music is being pumped in your ears by those around you, that's your influence.
Yeah.
And I grew up around hip hop, R&B, and rap. So that was what I would hear. That's what influenced me. And that's what I listened to. And that's why I was able to recall back then. But the moment I was able to diverge into other stuff, my interest took me there. And that's pretty much where I stayed. Yet, classic references are still gold to me.
Yeah, I
just don't have new stuff.
Still in your brain. That's why, like, I still have like Beatles music is like still like in my DNA somehow. Because I just listened to it so much growing up. I just know every word to all these songs somehow.
Like how living in a yellow submarine feels great.
Pre 70s, pre Sgt. Pepper's. Most of that stuff is definitely in there. Yeah, I don't know why I don't like the Sgt. Pepper stuff so much, but no. But Yo MTV Raps was my childhood, and Public Enemy was my school teacher, and Run DMC taught math.
Wait, so your teacher was Mr. Public Enemy or Mrs. Public Enemy?
It was Dr. Terminator X. Thank you very much.
Oh, sorry. Got to give those credentials when they earn them.
Yes, Chuck D was my study hall.
That sounds like a very loud classroom.
It was the best classroom. All right, so this week we are going to... I don't know what we're going to call the episode. We could call it... I'm afraid to call it what we want to call it.
No, we just call it the Nintendo Power Hour in honor of Gilvis Sunner.
Okay, that if you want to give it that long name, I just wrote down Nintendo.
Nintendo.
I think it's going to give the wrong impression though that we're just going to play Genesis music this whole episode.
Pretty much. It also probably would give the impression that we're not like liking Nintendo, but the truth is, it's a little bit more complicated.
Is Nintendo saying Nintendo because Nintendo does not like other people using any of their properties for anything other than giving them money.
In a sense, yes. Yeah. Like it's a sticky wicket of a topic. Let's just get this out the pretense out the way in advance, which is that, you know, a company has licensed properties, and in the possession of those IPs, I'm sure our actual accredited lawyer could tell us whether or not it's true what the internet likes to say, which is that if you allow someone to use your product or property in some way that you just allow them to do it, and then somewhere down the line someone comes along and does something different, they can't contest it or something because you let it happen once. I never understood that.
Well, let's just say this, right? So Gilvis Sunner I'm gonna get that confused the whole episode. Gilvis Sunner had a YouTube page posting Nintendo soundtracks along with a lot of other people. But Nintendo was like, no, we're selling soundtracks. You need to go away.
Actually, they weren't even doing that. They're not even selling soundtracks. It was just like one day they said, you can't do it anymore. So they hit them with a lot of YouTube takedown notices. Now, and that's where I was leading into with the statement of like, we get it. Like, if it's your call to do with what you want with your licensed property. So I can't personally find legal fault or unreasonable fault with the action. The only thing that gets me is the fact that, well, two things. One, we're a VGM podcast. We and a number of other VGM podcasts you may listen to, our primary focus when we do these shows is to come up with ridiculous or creative ways to say, here's some cool music you might want to listen to. And it also gets a dialogue going about video games and the music they contain. A lot of us, all of us, get our music from a variety of internet sources. Because even though we could rip them, everyone out here is not ripping every track they put on their show. There's no way. So you're getting it from other sources, whether it be like blank site or random site or friend site or YouTube.
And if you'd like to know more about these sites, you can contact us on our Discord. But we're not going to just go outright and say that on the podcast.
Oh, the podcast.
But there's some other great VGM podcasters who are also, I would say, preservationists.
Yes.
Like Ed Wilson of the VG Embassy.
Yes, he is definitely a fantastic source because he puts it out there for everyone to have access to.
Yes.
So it's like, to hear that someone like Gilvis Sunner was taken down by Nintendo, well, they didn't take him down per se, but I understood he ultimately said, I'm done because he doesn't want to have to deal with the constant takedowns and stuff. Yeah. But to see that genuine source of like VGM accessibility just go away, also in a situation where in a lot of cases the music he was putting out there isn't necessarily or accessible in other ways sometimes.
It's true.
It's kind of unfortunate. So the idea of this particular episode is to pretty much be like, as a sort of semi thank you, because we've never met the guy. We don't know what he looks like. He is a internet amoeba to us.
Yes.
We just know that he existed and he provided a good service. So it's a sort of semi honor to him having done what he did. And also talk about Nintendo tracks.
Yeah, and in the spirit of free use. Yeah.
It's all Nintendo stuff.
Because we're going to talk all over it and provide context.
Yes.
Okay, Nintendo?
Don't shake us down.
That's what we're going to do. All right, so we've got some Nintendo tracks today.
Yes. Now, in my case, believe it or not, I had a surprisingly challenging time thinking of stuff because...
You want like classic Nintendo properties or...
Well, classic-ish, because I had a whole argument with somebody too long ago about what's considered retro, and we had very different perspectives on that. But it ends up being weird in that I originally was like Nintendo first-party games that they're only out of them. But then I realized, my brain was like, well, the only ones that always ever come to mind are like the Mario, Metroid, Zelda. And I'm like, well, I'm not too big on a lot of the music from some of those games.
That's true.
Not that they're bad music, it's so much they're more atmospheric in a lot of cases.
I went around, right? I went further out, right? Kirby is HAL Laboratories, but Kirby is definitely Nintendo now.
Oh yeah, and that's one of the, in one case I did something like that where I was like same concept. I was like, okay, well, this is essentially a Nintendo in-house party. So they're like a quote-unquote second-party company, which would technically count. And unlike the choice I made, HAL is still with Nintendo.
Yeah.
So that would have been like something that would count. But I was like going like hard at first. I was like, what did Nintendo do? And at first I was like, should I choose something like Codename Steam? But I never even got to get into Codename Steam. So I don't know anything about it. I have no attachment to that.
Don't even know what that is.
It's like a 3DS game they put out when they were trying to draw buzz to the system because it wasn't pulling much weight at the time.
Okay.
So I was like, here's a game that people will buy. Strategy game involving steampunk fighters. I don't know.
Oh, well, I mean, because this is a full Nintendo episode, I haven't played any of these games. Like, I haven't owned a Nintendo system since the NES.
I mean, honestly,
I guess contemporary, because I owned a Super Nintendo.
You had a DS.
Oh, yeah, it's true. I did own a DS when they were still making DS games. Because I got the Super Nintendo probably when I was 17. So that was 97.
They were on the tail end of... They were cutting the support around that time.
Yeah, 97 or 98. That's probably when I bought it. And so from a flea market. So that tells you like the N64 and the PlayStation were in full swing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got the N64. No, my brother got an N64. I never bought that thing. And that was it.
Until the DS.
And then that was it.
Whereas
GameCube, the Wii, the Wii U, the Wii U, the Wii Yo-Yo. It's all right.
See, that's
not for me.
And then you get to this end of the table. I had a NES donated to me by my uncle. Then I had a Super Nintendo donated to me by my uncle. Then after that is when I started working. And then I eventually, after that, I bought every console they ever released on release date from that point forward. So the N64, the Game Boy Color, the Game Boy Advance, the Wii, the Wii U, the GameCube, 3DS, the DS, every stupid iteration of those blasted things. All of them, except for the Virtual Boy. Let that thing rot. Didn't even bother with it.
That was a follow-up question. Do we have any Virtual Boy tracks on today's episode?
No.
That's like an unmined like territory there.
I feel like I should have, though, because I've never listened to the Mario Tennis OST from that system, or Mario Clash, or Wario Land. Yeah, but I've heard good things about all their games.
There's some good music there too. We should definitely dive into that. I don't think we have enough for a full episode, but we can look at that. But we're gonna start with some. Let's start with some Kirby music. This is from the game Kirby Star Allies. This track is composed by Jun Ishikawa, classic Kirby composer, classic Kirby goodness. The track is called Reef Resort. You're listening to Reef Resort from Kirby Star Allies for the Nintendo Switch, composed by Jun Ishikawa.
This is a good one.
You were saying you want the carrots to taste like the potato chips? I wasn't looking.
Yeah, I'm eating carrots, and I also have a bag of Flaming Hot Nacho Doritos.
So you want Flaming Hot Nacho carrots?
Yes, I want the carrots to taste like the chips, but then I guess if the carrots tasted like the chips, people wouldn't want to eat the chips, and they'd be eating a much healthier, delicious alternative.
I don't think so. Because I think what makes the chips taste so good is all of the salt and the friedness, and so you would do that to the carrot, and then the carrot wouldn't be healthy anymore.
That is true, but you can season the carrot. That's the thing. Like you can put some salt on the carrot, and it would still be healthy, but not as healthy as a salt-free carrot, but still healthier than Doritos.
Yeah, that's true.
Also, unlike Doritos, carrots would actually fill you up, so you couldn't infinitely eat carrots.
You would have a lot more fiber, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And
FiberCon.
FiberCon? What's right. FiberCon?
Well, that's the thing that we used to joke about when we were going to anime conventions. One, FiberCon was an old product from the 80s or 90s, rather, for regularity. And then the other part of it was like, well, time to go to FiberCon. You can kind of reference what that meant. Just from that statement there.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
So there's your Purnell Garbage Pail Kid tip of the day.
A night of anime con revelry from the early 2000s.
That's correct.
And then a morning of anime coffee from the early 2000s. You go to FiberCon.
You go to FiberCon.
I love it.
None of this has anything to do with Kirby, though. But Kirby, I'm sure, believe it or not, he hasn't gone to FiberCon as much as he should.
Kirby's a little yellow or pink fluff ball. He's like he's been every He's color. Like a round thing. He eats enemies. He spits them out. Sometimes he's made of yarn. He's cute. He's just a circle with a face.
Kirby is probably one of my all-time favorite game characters of all, just period. Like, from the day that they were created or introduced, because to this day, I don't know if Kirby even has, like, an established status. It's Kirby! It's like that thing where people say, what are you wearing? Wearing a shirt. So, what would you... Oh, I'm going to hold it. Point is, Kirby is Kirby, and I love Kirby.
He's cute.
And
she's cute.
They're cute. We don't know.
Yeah.
Kirby is just great. And the thing about Kirby is that, to me, anyway, they are one of the most broken video game characters in existence as well. Because they have, like, that Luffy One Piece, like, invulnerability state where he's like a fluffy thing. Mm-hmm. So if you punch him, or if you punch them, they just kind of absorb the shock and just let it out. Like, it's no big deal. They can eat anything and become anything. The development time for Smash Brothers was increased solely by Kirby's existence in the game, because for every character they added, they had to come up with a way to implement Kirby having his power.
Yeah, I love that. Now, I have a question for you, right? So he's a little... Rashid, they're a little pink thing.
Honestly, I feel like all of it counts. It's Kirby.
Yeah, it's with cute eyes and rosy cheeks. Now, does Kirby wear shoes, or is that...
Don't go down that hellhole.
Because
no,
I've never thought about this. And
Kirby is Kirby. I don't even want to think about that because I've seen. No,
it's a darker pink. Hold on. What if I search Kirby Nintendo feet?
Do not do that.
What if I
don't do that?
Ooh.
way to ruin it for yourself. All right. So the point is, Kirby's awesome, but the internet tries to ruin a wonderful thing every chance it gets.
Oh, that's
Kirby
the best
is
one.
Wonderful. And Kirby is the most powerful Nintendo character that I can think of. If you can think of a more powerful Nintendo character, you by all means tell me, Kirby, and I'll say you're wrong.
Kirby with the human feet is strangely
horrible.
Oh, beautiful.
It's horrible. Don't take the majesty that is Kirby and ruin them using human characteristics.
Why does everyone draw Kirby with real feet, but give Kirby like really nasty old man feet? Like
Kirby's traveled.
You don't get that kind of you don't get that level of foot, that age of foot, unless you've walked on it for a number of years.
Have you seen the number of adventures that Kirby's been on?
But have you noticed how much he floats?
No, Kirby goes. They run, they jump,
finally,
they flop,
we know what's going on here.
Kirby is amazing. Don't you tarnish my wonderful, wonderful friend with these horrible images off the internet.
All right,
Kirby's great. And Star Allies, mind you. That's like one of the only ones I've never played because I kept telling myself, I'll wait to get on a sale. And then I read that. I was like, overly traditional for a Kirby game, which at the time of its release, my brain was saying, I want to see a little new for Kirby. I'm tired of 2D platform, eat thing, become thing Kirby. They can do more with this character, especially after what they've made in the past. So now I've kind of missed the boat, and we've got Kirby in the Forgotten Land coming out next month, which I'm really looking forward to, especially after the recent Nintendo Direct trailer.
That looks really cool.
And I'm going to mention on the show, as well as I've done on the internet already, which is the fact that I was insulted in that trailer because they show Kirby's new powers, whereas he eats large objects, and rather than swallow them, he kind of envelops them.
Yeah.
And he gives them new powers. And the first thing they showed was Kirby swallowing a car, which then he could drive around. And before they said what it was called on the actual Nintendo Direct, I said, oh my God, it's Kirby.
Kirby.
And then they gave it some name. I'm like, that's not... No, Kirby was right there. It's right in their face. Kirby is Kirby plus car. And then he's like a traffic cone, so I was like, now it's Conby. And my one friend goes like, I've seen Conby, I've seen Canby. They even gave Kirby the refrigerator power back by letting him eat the refrigerator, and then they just pretty much start barfing food.
So instead of like...
like Kirby is amazing.
So instead of like actually eating the thing and getting its power, what he's doing now is they're eating the thing, but they're just becoming the shape of it because it's like
they're not swallowing it.
Yeah, stretching it out. Yeah,
rather than swallowing and digesting it, it's just reshaping their body to let them do new cool things.
Well, it creates a whole new game dynamic. There's gliding and there's like shooting and there's so much more you can do with it.
And I tell you the amazing thing about it too is the fact that if you really want to take what Kirby is, right, and what Kirby could do in previous games, all of the things Kirby is doing with this mouthful mode could have been done with classic copy powers. But just by doing it the way they are and changing the aesthetic of the power usage, it still feels fresh and new, which is awesome to me.
Oh, and crafting. They're going to add crafting, Kirby crafting.
Yeah, but they've kind of done that before with Amazing Mirror, whereas instead of crafting, it was finding a special scroll, and the scroll would enhance the power of a copy ability, or in this case, a hat. So, again, it's another case of they've done it before. They could have done it with the old skills, but they changed it just enough to feel fresh. Like, now I'm crafting instead of getting a scroll to do it.
It does look fresh. And it's been like, what, 20, 30 years since the last Kirby game? I'm joking.
I'm about to say, what are you doing to me?
20 or 30 years since I've last played a Kirby game. So, I wanted to pick a Kirby song because to me, Kirby is very Nintendo. It's platforming, 2D or 3D. It's wholesome. It's cute. It's you pick it up and it's just fun. The original Kirby I played on the Game Boy, I think was the first one, was not hard. It was just fun. And I played it over and over again, not because it was difficult, but because it was just fun to play through. Agreed.
Yeah. And you unlocked the extra mode, which was a little more difficult, but it wasn't hard. And that was fun. It changed some of the enemy patterns and attack flows. It was a great time. And the thing about Kirby I like the most, aside from, again, them being like fantastic, cute, and broken, is the fact that HAL has gone... They did a lot of different things with Kirby. Kirby's done pinball. Kirby's done tilting games. Kirby's done golf, which they need to really bring back. They brought back Wii Sports, but we can't get Kirby's Dream Course 2.
That would be awesome. It took a Game Grumps team of hackers to make a decent new version of Kirby Star Course.
Yeah, I missed that series so much. Kirby's Dream Course was so good. It only had three original courses, and you just wanted more when you were done.
I remember we played it on stream one time, and I was like, this was it?
That's all there is.
Yeah.
And they just let it sit there.
Yeah.
Kirby had that one game, Kirby and the Rainbow Curse, Kirby and Canvas Curse, which, by the way, Kirby Canvas Curse is also one of my all-time favorite DS games, too. These are all games that have existed by Kirby because they were like, hey, we want to do something weird and different and potentially innovative. We can use Kirby for that. Kirby's cute. People can't hate Kirby. They'll just smile and go, this game makes no sense, but how can I hate that face? And then they'll buy it anyway. Yeah. That's the secret bit.
The secret of it is that he's all face. There's nothing else there. Just all face and something...
Adorable sound effect.
And some kind of foot happening.
Let it go. It's Kirby.
Walking somehow.
It's Kirby.
All right, what's your first track, Kirby hater?
I love Kirby. You forget it. This comes from...
You have to love all of Kirby.
Nope. Kirby is Kirby. I totally forget which track I wanted to go from this game. I wrote 2 down.
Well, why don't you just announce the game then, and then we'll pick the track.
Okay.
Yeah.
The game itself is called Blast Corps for the N64, and the
Ooh.
composer is Graeme Norgate. And I'll tell you what the track title is when we come back. Welcome back. You're listening to the track from what we consider the Blackridge work stage from the game Blast Corps, composed by Graeme Norgate, released on the N64. So this game had a number of stages and a number of reused tracks, and the OST wasn't actually named per se. This was back when the OSTs weren't getting enough love to be considered nameable tracks. Just here's a tune. So this is essentially just the track that plays for that stage in the game. Blast Corps was originally created by Rare, which at the time was in-house Nintendo studio before they eventually parted ways with them and got bought by Microsoft. So I feel as though this counts for the sake and purpose of this episode. I really, really wish something like this got a sequel or a reimagining by another studio, because Blast Corps, at the time anyway, was the very definition of unique concept for a game, and it felt extremely fresh and original.
It was very, very odd. I remember when people were telling me, like when they were playing this on the N64, I was expecting like, oh, it's a new Mario or new Donkey Kong. And like, no, it's you have to blow things up in the city so that a nuclear weapon doesn't run into buildings.
Yes.
And I was like, that's different.
And it was so good. Like, they give you a variety of different vehicles, all serving the same purpose of destroying objects. And yet somehow with this concept, they provided so much content. So you originally just had to destroy the buildings and clear a path for the tanker. But in addition to that, you could do it quickly. You could find all the survivors that were littered throughout the stage. There were hidden objects hidden on the level, so sometimes you'll get like a car and get out of your car to go to inaccessible locations to find these hidden things on the map. Some things were really well hidden. and you had to earn medals to unlock stuff. There was a bunch of hidden stages, including a Pac-Man stage, which was really cool.
Kind of makes sense.
And at the end, you end up going to the moon. Like, there was like a bunch of moon. You go to the moon, and then a bunch of different planets like Jupiter and Neptune. It just got ridiculous, and I was in love with this game. But here's the thing: I was going to choose another track that may end up showing up at the end of the episode. We haven't figured that out yet, but I went with this one because this one has a better quote-unquote radio sound to it.
It's pretty good. It's pretty funky. I love the organ sound in this track.
Well, it's a bop. Yeah. There's no denying that. But the other track I was going to pick is the one that gives me the most memories because it was the track that played on the hardest level in the game for me, where you had to pilot this one vehicle called the Backlash. It was a dump truck that had a steel dump bay, I guess you call it, whatever you call the bay that dumps stuff out the back of the dump truck. But as a result of how it was designed, you only could destroy objects by drifting into them with your butt. So you have to drive the truck, go into a drift, and then smash your butt into the side of the building, akin to like if you slam your butt into the side of a vending machine to get food to fall out. And
I can't think of any other way to do that.
I do it all the time. I do it almost every day. I get people who call me over to the vending machine because I have the special way of knocking stuff out of the machine.
You have the magic booty.
I do, and don't you forget it. So it's like you end up having to deal with the dump truck, but when you're doing this under pressure of this tanker coming your way, you make a lot of mistakes, and you will fail a great deal, and you will find yourself going, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. Why did Rare think it was a great idea to have a drifting dump truck as an object of destruction?
It's such a great video game idea because I feel like it creates a sandbox for you to play in. You know,
it's a game that to this day, this game came out in the 90s and there's not been a thing like it. There's been other games where you destroy things, sure, but there's never been a game like this since then. It's the only one of its kind, and that in this day and age is something to say. No one else is replicating. And it was a good game. It wasn't like it was a terrible game. Therefore, never repeat it.
Yeah, it was unusual and it was fun. You know, and there's plenty of unusual games out there, especially in the PlayStation era, where we were like, you know, we don't have to do that again. But this one, I would love to see something different with it. You know, Blast Core 2, Blast Harder. I don't know.
Mount Blast.
Or some kind of crossover of Blast Corps with Bomberman. That'd be kind of fun.
Or Blast Corps, you know,
Bomberman would make
Phoenix Wright.
Bomberman would make it way too easy.
Yeah, but if you merged it with Phoenix Wright, it would be quite interesting because in the first half of the game, you're destroying everything, and in the other half, you're Phoenix Wright's going to court to defend them when all the city starts suing them for reckless endangerment.
Right, like, but I was asked to do it, and I saved the world, and you're like, but you did blow up millions and millions of dollars worth of property.
Like, sir, we asked you to clear a pathway for the nuclear tanker. We did not ask you to destroy the other 3/4 of the neighborhood that you were tasked to protect.
Objection! We did use a really cool robot one time.
Sustained. That was a really cool robot.
That was a cool robot.
But like, I adore Blast Court, and I still to this day break it out sometimes to play it. It's just a great game. I mean, I have to think about, like I mentioned earlier about the idea like how much content it had, but I can't put into words how great it felt when everyone's like, wait, there's something more? There's something more?
How is N64 emulation these days if I wanted to like play some N64 titles?
You know, I don't know. I'm assuming they pulled it off.
I'm sure. I mean,
I still rock the old console, honestly.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, I think I've heard people claim they were used N64 emulation.
What about the rest of us who just want to play Blast Corps for the afternoon?
Guess this is available.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. I mean, the only system I heard of from the retro days that I heard they just never pulled off properly was the Saturn. But other than that,
because of the challenges with that.
Yeah, but other than that, I feel like everything's done.
Everything's coming up N64. All right, so my next track is coming from the game Donkey Kong Country Returns.
Ooh, that's a good one.
This
3DS, right?
Sure. I did not look at the I just was looking up games, you know.
Yes.
Yeah. 3DS, composed by one of these, or one or a combination of Minako Hamano, Masaru Tajima, Shinji Ushiroda, and Daisuke Matsuoka. This is the Palm Tree Grove from Donkey Kong Returns. You're listening to The Palm Tree Grove from Donkey Kong Country Returns. Composed by Minako Hamano, Masaru Tajima, Shinji Ushiroda, and Daisuke Matsuoka.
And clearly, I didn't get to
go.
this level, or maybe I just didn't remember this track in the game proper. But this definitely is. This sounds like a really, really good rendition of the main theme of the original Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's fantastic. And Donkey Kong Country in general is one of those platforms I consider to be like fun and pure. Like I think I talked about in the show in the past how Nintendo threw up the original Donkey Kong Country as being this sort of thing where it's like, PlayStation's out, it's got 3D graphics. How do we compete with that? Don't you worry, we got something up our sleeve. They'll never want to leave the Super Nintendo when they see Donkey Kong Country. It's the same game, it's still 2D, but things look nicer.
Yeah, so Rare made 3D renders of Donkey Kong running around, and then every frame of animation they turned into a sprite. And there's a lot of frames of animation for all of these characters.
And that's how Donkey Kong Country came to look the way it did?
Yes, it is.
I mean, the game is beautiful.
I remember seeing it and thinking like, oh, it's the same idea of the digitized people in Mortal Kombat, but instead of digitizing people, they digitized a 3D model to make it a really smooth animation.
And the amazing thing, this is back before the internet too, so Nintendo got the word out by mailing every subscriber of Nintendo Power a VHS cassette.
Oh, that's right.
With Donkey Kong Country footage on it. So you could just watch it on your VCR to go, I can't wait to play this game. But then when you get the game, it is, at its core, a very basic platformer.
It is.
You can hop, you can bop, you
roll.
You can roll and you can stomp. And you know what? Oh, also there's a minecart level, because of course there is. And I'm going to tell you something. At that time anyway, I was enamored with Donkey Kong Country. Loved Donkey Kong Country. I didn't really care about the second and third, because at that point I was kind of done with the formula. But I loved the first Donkey Kong Country. So when
you start at the left, get to the right.
And that's the game.
It's classic Mario style, but with like really fun looking characters, really
monkeys,
fantastic music.
Mm-hmm. So then when Donkey Kong Country Returns or 3D was announced, I got hit with that nostalgia bug. I was like, oh, I used to love Donkey Kong Country. And then Donkey Kong 64 came along and said, no. So I jumped on board. I bought it. And I enjoy what I played of it. But at that point, I was also like, well, I just bought 5 games in one day. I can only play so much of one at a time.
Right.
Because I was doing a terrible job of financial management. I told you the story about the credit card bill. That was no lie.
Yes.
So, but I turned around. I turned that corner. But anyway, the point is, Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D was a fantastic return to form. And musically, as you can clearly hear right now,
this is so
I
good.
believe actually one-upped
its
so. Original incarnation.
It's different. It's just different. But I love this sound. I mean, this is
original incarnation, the original track.
Oh yeah, no, this is like takes the track and it doesn't just put a little jazz on it. It turns it all the way up.
It throws the entire bar on top of it.
I love it. I love the way it even like kind of dies back down and then picks back up again. It's really clever. The solo, the flute solo. How often do you get a flute solo in a Nintendo game? I don't know.
Twice.
Well, do you have a flute solo in your next track?
No, so still twice. My next track, not going to particularly be a creative one, but Bobby Gum, if it's not a great one that I've listened to for many years. That is from the game Mario Kart 64. And again, not an official title for this.
Yeah, you went N64 on this one, didn't you?
I really kind of did.
Yeah.
I picked a track from that system and was like, I'm just going to stay here. Originally, I was going to go to Game Boy Color, but I was like, nah, I'm comfortable. So this is from the Royal Raceway stages when it was played. Also, Wario Stadium, 2 of my favorite courses in the game. This was composed by, I want to say, Kenta Nagata.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. The Royal Raceway?
That's right.
All right, I can say
Grand Royal with cheese.
Royal Raceway.
Grand Royal with cheese. Oh, welcome back. You're listening to the Royal Raceway and Wario Stadium Jam from the game Mario Kart 64 from the Nintendo 64 and composed by Kenta Nagata. So I mainly picked from this game because, one, I love this track. Two, for as many Mario Kart games have been released since this game's release, this one still has the most fond memories in my life from playing Mario Kart, and was the one I actually managed to play the most from a multiplayer perspective. Second probably being Mario Kart DS, which was a fantastic multiplayer game.
Yes.
Until the community learned to break it by using light characters like Dry Bones and just constant sparking ad nauseum forever. But this game was just a jam. This was like the first 4-player Mario Kart game. Now we take it for granted. We have 8-player Mario Kart now.
Right.
But back then it was like 4-player Mario Kart. They had battle arenas that were 3D. It wasn't just those flat spaces on the Super Nintendo version, which opened up a brand new set of tactics, like sending green shells off of ledges on top of people's heads. But at the same time, it was also so RAM intensive, or rather the system couldn't handle it so much that if you had more than 2 players, they didn't have music on the battle mode and races. It was pretty funny. I'm confused. Wasn't Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo? Wasn't that also 4-player? Or am I remembering that wrong? You might. I mean, if there was an option for the multi-tap, I didn't know about it. To my knowledge, there's only 2 players.
No, I think you're right. Yeah, it must have only been 2 players. I must be thinking some other games then. So the original Mario Kart, I played to death multiplayer. Like, that was the multiplayer game.
The funny thing about Mario Kart, the base one though, the original Super Nintendo one, to this day, like back then I could do it. Like, I understood how the controls worked and I could maneuver the car. Having gone to 3D spaces and then going back to that Mario Kart, I am terrible. Like, because in that game, is like the way you had described Mario Kart 1 as far as how it was designed to work is, you remember those old toys back in the day where it was just like a car attached to a stick, and there was a steering wheel attached to the stick, and then you turned the thing on, and it was a scrolling foreground.
Yeah.
Or a scrolling background. And you just turned the wheel to move the car left or right, and the background moved independently from what your car was doing. That's how Mario Kart Super Nintendo always felt to me. It was like, if I were to turn, it was just the game, the map just moving around my car. The car wasn't moving around the map was moving around the car.
That is kind of how the game worked, yeah.
And I can't, now that I've done what I've been doing, I have a hard time mentally wrap my head around driving my car in that space. So I do a terrible job on the levels where there's like no borders, so you don't have a cushion if you slam against the wall or something. So I won't bet money on Mario Kart Super Nintendo. N64, I'll take you out.
Yeah, it's definitely, Mario Kart was definitely the Mode 7 idea of how to make a racing game, right? It was raster graphics, taking 2D, putting it into 2D planes, putting it into a 3D field, and then having your camera kind of right around the track.
It's also kind of like
a really great way.
This
was like the college game. I didn't go to college, but I had friends who went to college.
Got the mooch off of their dorm space.
Yeah, this is what they played. This is all what they played, and it was fun.
As a guy who did go to college, very briefly, I can tell you, this came out before I went to college, but I took it with me. Mm-hmm. And this, Mario Party 1, and Super Smash Brothers 1 were the big hits in my dorm room. Could have been GoldenEye. I said no, because I didn't like GoldenEye enough to do it. Yeah, someone bought it for me for Christmas because it was how popular. Like Anthony, if he's listened to the episode, Anthony bought it for me for Christmas back then. And everyone liked it because it was just the end game, but I was not into FPSs aside from Doom, so for me, it was just like, I'll play if my friends are playing with others. I really don't care.
Oh, yeah. And Doom didn't have a Z-axis. So in GoldenEye, you actually had to aim up and down along with left and right.
Actually, no. So I'm not going to knock it because I would have thought the same thing because my memory of GoldenEye was fuzzy. But let's say about a month ago, played it at Francis's joint, and we did the 4-player mode.
Yeah.
No, it was just left and right turning and going up and down stairs, but there was no jump button. There was no axis aiming.
No, there's no Z-axis. I thought there was.
No. Wow. I was shocked, too. I was like, wait a minute, I remember aiming this gun, but no. It's just running around in circles. Like, bah, 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 bah. So...
Wow, it has been that long.
And the thing about it is, like, kind of like how I was talking about Super Nintendo Mario Kart, though, in a not as complicated way, but I have a hard time looking back on GoldenEye, and I said this when we were playing. I was like, we used to think this game was the bee's knees back in the day. And this game existed at the same time as Quake. which did have Z-axis aiming.
Yeah, wow. Oh, here we go. The first shooter game with the Z-axis gaming, probably. On the N64, I think was Turok.
Yeah, Turok, and then Perfect Dark.
Yeah, Perfect Dark. All right, so my next track is not Perfect Dark. We're going to Super Mario Galaxy 2 for the Wii.
You win. It was on the Wii.
You
were sweating.
I was a good guess. We're going to listen to the track Throwback Galaxy, which is composed by Koji Kondo, but arranged by Shigetoshi Gohara. You're listening to the Throwback Galaxy from Super Mario Galaxy 2.
Wow.
Composed by Koji Kondo for Mario 64. Arranged by Shigetoshi Gohara.
Okay, we stopped doing it.
This is fun. You said this might be like an unlockable thing at the end of the game?
Yeah, because like I played the living daylights out of Mario Galaxy 1, but for some reason, and actually I went back to messing around with Mario Galaxy 2 back in November, but then stopped because, again, I get sidetracked easily. But I would like to go back and finish this game, but I think this was an unlockable level in the game because this is a I guess like I want to say a read. It's just called a redo because my brain's not all there right now. It's a reimagining of the original theme from Super Mario 64's Bob-omb Battlefield stage. This sounds really freaking good. And we were talking about this on the break, the fact that I get such good, warm memories whenever I hear this theme, specifically this theme, because Mario 64, I feel like I might be being a bit unfair by saying it was the last time that I got a sensation of this is what gaming can do.
Yeah. But
I will say it was the most intense feeling of that. Since then, I could say, at least off the top of my head, I got a similar but not as potent feeling from Grand Theft Auto 3 and Dying Light.
Yeah, Grand Theft Auto 3 was a huge jump. You're leaving a very specific 2D style of game into something else entirely.
You're actually getting to explore a 3D rendition of a city, and the only thing that was lacking that got added later to I think Grand Theft Auto 4 was the ability to enter some buildings, like run up the side of like multi-level buildings and stuff.
Yes, yeah, you couldn't even. I mean, obviously you couldn't do that in the 2D versions of the game, but oh man, Grand Theft Auto 2 had like factions of gangs that you had to like kind of do different jobs for and like keep some happy and you might anger some other ones. It was really complex.
Yeah, like it's but a lot of people like to focus on like the whole they're hyper violent and you deal with these criminal activities.
They absolutely were, but it was fun.
They were really fun, but they really did up the ante in gaming, like just gaming potential, like what you could do with a game. Like they put in that work
and what people expected.
Yeah. Now they expected. Back then they didn't. Like when Grand Theft Auto 3 came out, it was just a shock. People were like, wow, this is what this game is all about. And I remember reading the articles about where people saying this is the next generation of gaming right here, Grand Theft Auto 3. And then 4 came along, which was just a more robust city with, again, like a few indoor environments and more areas we could like scale buildings as opposed to being like mostly on the ground. And then 5 is just forget it. that thing is insane.
Yeah. And whatever the next one is going to be,
I don't even know.
26.
They only mentioned they finally started working on it. But then with Dying Light, the reason why I mentioned that game is because we've done zombies, we've done 3D exploration, we've done fetch quests and all that junk.
Right.
But Dying Light took a massive city, slapped on the parkour mechanics of something like Mirror's Edge, upped them a little bit to make them even better, and then said, just go nuts, have fun, do it up. So I quickly lost interest in the narrative of that game and was just like, let me see if I can get to that building. Let me see if I can get to that rooftop. There's a high object there. I bet I can reach it. And you're just trying to work out the mechanics of exploration. Somebody might say, well, what about Assassin's Creed, Pernell? No, Assassin's Creed was not what Dying Light was. Like, Dying Light deserves lots of credit for, in my opinion, dang near perfecting 3D space maneuverability and mobility, for that matter. It's a gem.
It was just fun to. It made it fun to do the exploration, right?
Yeah, like by design, the game was meant so that they made it so that you didn't want to ever land on the street. Like you had to, obviously, for stuff, but the idea was like never go onto the ground because there were zombies everywhere. And at night, they became frantic and crazy. And like if you were on the ground, you're pretty much a dead man at the early parts of the game. So the goal was to always stay on the rooftops and on like this, like running along the sides of buildings and stuff. So it was just keep your momentum and keep active. And it was just, it felt really good to play. Like I recommend that game to, well, if you don't get sick anyway, I recommend that game to anybody that likes like platforming games and exploration games.
First person?
It's first person, which I mentioned.
That level of maneuvering around and parkour with first person might not be for me, but if it was third person, I might try.
Yeah, I wish they sometimes with those games, I wish they would like have like a pullback feature for like you get behind the third person camera. But I'm wagering that adds its own level of complications to things. Though it's hard to say because the 3D space is already rendered.
It's true, but it changes like the mechanics of the game and like what I guess what they've envisioned for like difficulty. Like they plan set pieces around what you can see and what you can do, and if you're pulled back from a third person perspective, you can see a lot more.
That's true.
So I would
see what's
them,
behind you.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it's obviously not realistic, but we're playing video games here, people.
And it's funny how I mentioned Dying Light because Mario 64, a large part of what made that game feel special, is a lighter version of what I loved about Dying Light. Mario 64 was like the first Mario game, or platformer period for that matter, where you had a 3D space and Mario was able to move freely within that 3D space and ascend objects and just do a lot of different acrobatic moves. He had acrobatic moves that, if I'm not mistaken, you didn't even have to ever do to progress the game. They were just fun. Like he could cartwheel.
Yes.
He could do the handstand thing he had to do because that gives you a good jump. He could climb a pole, then do a handstand on top of the pole, and then spring off of it. I spent a good 30 minutes at Toys R Us just running around doing jumps in the field. Like it was just like, I can do that. I can do a backflip. Do I ever have to? Not really, but it's cool that I can do a backflip.
I think there were some places like they had to reach certain places you had to do because you jump a little further higher, a little bit higher up, I think.
Yeah, let you go a little higher, but there were other ways to do that too. Like generally, like you could backflip to make it easier to do certain stuff, but technically, I don't think you ever had to backflip.
Can you triangle jump, like bounce off walls?
Yep, you can wall jump off of things. That's the one that introduced him being able to do wall jumps. So like he just had he had such mobility in that game, and you could do so many things. The only thing that was bad in comparison to older games was how they handled power-ups. But even that was like, they were still cool when you had them. It's just you wish you could just have power-ups indefinitely. Well, until you got hit, like old Mario games.
Yeah, exactly. But you wish that as soon as they gave it to you, it was like, the fire flower. You just had the fire flower until you got hit.
Yeah, but in this game, they were all timer-based. Like, hey, you got the wing cat, but it wears off, so you better get where you're going. Right, or the metal hat, better get where you're going.
Because they were creating a different style of game where it wasn't like short set pieces of stages, like done really, really fast. These stages could last a lot longer. So, like, why have the fire flower for the entire stage? If And
that's the funny you mentioned the fire flower, too, because unfortunately, that was the other weird thing. That was the first, I don't want to count Doki Doki Panic because that was just a reimagining. So, for the sake of this argument, I'm not counting Mario 2. This was the first Mario game, like platformer Mario game, where he did not have his traditional fire flower power up.
Well, Mario for the Game Boy,
he had the fire flower in that.
Yeah, but he shot balls.
It was the fire
that bounced
flower
around the screen.
That was the fire flower. No one's going to tell me different. They were fire flower balls.
All right. So, what's your next track?
This is also more Mario. Mario. It's almost like we're making the internet meme come to life. This is Breakpoint from the game Mario Tennis on the, you guessed it, N64. Composed by Motoi Sakuraba.
Ooh.
Welcome back. You're listening to Breakpoint from the game Mario Tennis on the N64, composed by Motoi Sakuraba. I know this was developed by Camelot. I'm still calling it.
Yeah,
It counts.
it's Mario Tennis. It's Nintendo.
It's Nintendo-ish.
Yeah, I mean this sounds like racing music. This sounds like this to me sounds like a Super Nintendo racing game.
This is pure unadulterated Sakuraba is what this
Yeah.
is. I was thinking earlier, this could have easily been like Star Ocean or Golden Sun. More so Golden Sun, I think, though.
Yeah.
But I love this track to death. This plays when someone's when someone's one game away from winning a set. So if I'm at 40 all or 40-30, 40 love, doesn't matter. If I'm 40, I'm going for the gold. And this track is going to play to make sure things are extra tense between the players.
The newest game is Mario Tennis Aces.
Yes.
That's the newest one, which Motoi Sakuraba also did the compositions for. And the breakpoint in Mario Tennis Aces is aces. It's so good.
It's really intense.
It's really this is intense. That is really intense, and the rhythm is really interesting too. So,
and I'll admit, I think it's nostalgia talk. But I was like, I think I still like this one more.
Oh.
But I bet if I listen to them in more repeatedly, side by side,
yeah, you get more of a flavor for it,
or just play my own copy of Mario Tennis Aces enough to finally get some appreciation to an actual personal attachment to the track, then maybe that'll change. But
I feel like especially the Mario sports games are all about multiplayer. Playing with friends, it's just like the single. I'm sure there's a lot of single player modes in these games, but
it's not quite the same.
It's not
though.
the same.
And I think that may even be a part of why I kind of hugged on to the N64 when I started looking at tracks from that system, because, like I mentioned with Mario Kart, the N64 was the epitome of local multiplayer gaming for me on a console, with the 360 being the epitome of online multiplayer gaming in my lifetime. Beyond that, regardless of what games we're doing and what consoles offered up, I didn't get to experience those things. So, like, I played a lot of Mario Tennis. We used to have, like, in-house tournaments between my brother and, like, friends that would come over. It was like doubles, 2-on-2.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, we got rowdy, too. Like, I miss that kind of stuff. Like, just had people sitting around the rooms like, yo, 2-on-2, who's on my team? We got this. Which is why when I did that Neo Turf Masters thing a couple weeks ago, that just... I mean, I was having kind of still am, but I was having a pretty rough time. And when I got dragged out for that and we were playing for that window, I was in it. I was like, yo, man, we got this. I'll get this next hole. I'll get the next hole. I know that hole. I know that course. But for now, you got to run with this. Can you do
so
it?
You played like doubles, but like in teams.
Yeah, so it was like
great,
it was like we had this. It was only a 1v1 game, but we switched. We passed off on each course, so it was like 2-on-2. So it was like, okay, I got this hole. You get the next hole. I got this hole. You get the next hole, and we would talk each other up and trash talk the other person. In Mario Tennis, though, it was more direct because like, you were both actually physically playing at the same time.
Right.
So it had that added element of like, oh man, you missed the shot.
Yes,
it was right there.
That's why I loved Virtua Tennis, especially in the arcade. Virtua Tennis was just a blast, especially doubles, because you were just it got so.
It got heated.
It got heated, but it also got like it was also like a bonding thing, you know. You were having fun at the same time. You were really angry at each other.
Oh, the celebratory stuff. Yeah, when you pull off a really good combo, it's like, okay, I sent it over. The other character hit it back, but you were right there in the front. Bam! Sent it right back, and they couldn't react. Way to teamwork that thing.
Yeah.
Like, I missed that kind of stuff. It was like good gaming. That, to me, is what, well, that's part of what gaming is all about.
Gaming, it creates stories. I feel like board games to an extent do that too, where like a good game isn't just about the mechanics and the graphics and this or that. It's all about like the story that you can also create while playing it. Like these little magical moments that would have never happened, you know?
Oh, yeah. Like if Scott's listening to this episode, he knows all about Scorched Earth. And you know about it too, I think, because I've told you about what happened there. But if not, I can tell you right now.
I know the classic Amiga game, Scorched Earth.
Oh, no. Scorched Earth is at this point, is a famous board gaming moment for me, personally. And we were playing a game called Alien Frontiers. And I'd never played it before. We were all playing it down in Florida, like a little multiplayer session. And we were being taught how to play the game. And on a round, a card was about to get played. 3 targets. They target me. Mm-hmm. I was like, okay, that's not very fair, but whatever. And the next player went. That was Mark. And he also had the option to play a card. And this card could have either affected everyone or just one person.
And in fact,
he targeted me specifically. I was like, why did you do that? I'm losing. It's like, it doesn't matter. I don't trust you. I think you got something you're like, all right, fine, whatever. So I'll admit, I'll be blunt. I got a little temper tantrum issue on that note. My brain, anyway, I didn't let it out. But I was like, all right, that's fine.
Yeah, it'll inform your decisions if you're not actively flipping a table.
That's right.
Right.
So at that point, I got silent, got real quiet, because I acknowledged at that point that when I get expressive and antsy and excitable, I'm losing brain power. I'm losing some brain power to that. Mm-hmm. I'm not focused. So I was like, okay, shut it down. Fine. So I was like, okay, I'm doing this thing to Purnell. Didn't react. Hey, he's not saying anything. What's wrong? He's not talking. He's not reacting when we do stuff. He's not reacting when we jeer him. What's going on? Don't say anything. Very last turn of the game. Friend was about to win the game. She's like, okay, I'm going to do this thing. And I was like, what thing? Like, well, I'm about to buy my last thing. No, you're not. No, give me. That's mine now. So I took her thing, then stole from 2 other players. I was like, oh, by the way, I saw this other card. Built in 2 more. I came up from like 4 losses. I had to build 4 objects at the same turn. I was like, there, I'm done. Done. And I called it Scorched Earth because at the time when I went quiet, I was like, all right, Scorched Earth. That's it. Burn it all down.
Oh, okay.
Everything burns.
I thought like you were playing to just like ruin the game for everybody.
I want to win. But the idea became, I don't need to trade with anybody. I don't need to interact with anybody. I just need to win.
What happens in like really large multiplayer games of Ticket to Ride is it's really clear. It's super clear if you're not going to win anywhere because the map is too crowded to put any trains anywhere. So at that point, you just put trains anywhere you can just to prevent other people from having a good time.
Oh, that would be pretty fun, though.
And that happened to me.
Well, you were the guy blocking the roads, or you were the one getting blocked?
I was blocked so severely that I just walked off half of the game because it literally didn't matter. I had nowhere to go.
That's got to be something to be said of persons like, I am so out of this game that I'm just going to just block all the pathways.
Yeah, I was like, I'll just put a train here, I'll put a train there. And it's like, you become more of like, it's less of I'm going to win and more of like, who else would I like to see win? You become the king.
So you were king making.
Yeah.
So that I'm not too fond of, unless the king making is like that other time we were playing. Like, look, you screwed me over so much. I don't care who wins as long as it's not you.
There's like some history behind it. Yeah, I mean, I don't like it either, but like some games you're kind of stuck with it. You know, that's the hand that you're dealt with. Mm-hmm. The hand that we're dealt with right now is called the bonus round.
Bonus round. Bonus round.
The bonus round is where we play covers and remixes and arrangements on our theme. And Gilvasana went through a few different accounts and decided just, you know what, I'm not going to deal with Nintendo anymore. But there was a parody account called the SilvaGunner, which they also posted Nintendo soundtracks, but mashed up with other bits of music. So this is the stage clear music from the game Dr. Luigi, which was a game?
Yeah, it was a game. I'm trying to remember because I never personally owned it. It was I can't remember whether it was a downloadable game on like on the Wii U or if it was a pack-in or something. I'll look it up during the break because I remember it loosely, but I never personally owned it.
I never heard of it, and so when I saw it, I was like, is this real or not? And I'm assuming it is real. But it's mashed up with the song called Afterthought by Joji featuring BENEE.
I was right. It was a Wii U game.
It was a Wii U game. Okay, great. Now I understand. But the original composer is Masaru Tajima.
And I was also right. That was an eShop game. I was like, I knew it came in a way where I never had a physical copy of it. And I didn't buy it because I was like, well, I only trusted at the time. I was like, I wasn't really buying Wii U downloadable games. So there it is.
Well, the mashup, it works really, really well. So I hope you enjoy Stage Clear by Masaharu Tajima and Joji. That was the stage clear music from Dr. Luigi, mashed up with Afterthought by Joji, composed by Masaharu Tajima, mashed up by SilvaGunner, the parody YouTube station of Gunna Silva.
See, I got him back. That's just SilvaGunner is the actual one.
No, it was Gun Silva.
Dear God, my brain.
No, I know. I had to look it up, and everything didn't make sense.
That's all over the place.
And then, so I think it was either SilvaGunner or the other one. Gilvasana actually the station was taken down, and then they brought it back up again, and they changed the L to an uppercase I, so you couldn't really tell.
It was such a weird thing. That whole history is just bizarre.
Yeah, it's this weird 2005 to 2012 history of YouTube. People have historical I don't know. They
kept historical records of YouTube.
They've captured like what happened in those times. Yeah, Know Your Meme and Fanpedia or whatever it's called.
And I'll be honest, I really have come to appreciate those things because it generally spawns from someone just whimsically sharing a meme that they just found funny, and then I personally become curious because I'm not in on the joke, so I have to go look up.
Yes,
person with backwards pants. Why is this funny?
Where did it start? Where did it begin? Especially like even these early days when things went viral, like you kind of forget about what happened and like, well, where did that begin? You know? And
it even also helps a little bit more because I'll give you some context on this. I have a friend who recently was upset about a meme regarding a thing where like I guess like a Korean father would like they would have like an image, something would happen, and they would just have this like random Korean guy come out and go emotional damage, and she'd mentioned it and how it bothered her. And at the time, I was like, I don't even know what you're talking about. What is this thing that my old self just missed on the internet? So, of course, I had to go look it up. First, I looked up the use of the meme that some random person just did.
Right.
And then I was like, okay, now I know it exists. What is it? So, bump, Know Your Meme to the rescue. And they gave you the full history of what this one frame and word represented and where it came from.
Yeah.
And it made me realize, like, one, I get now why it upsets her and why she wasn't happy with it. Two, I get why in its original context, it was pretty funny and okay. So I was like, okay, here I get why it works. Here I understand why it doesn't. So it wasn't just me being like, oh, someone said it, therefore I'm going to just ride. I'm going to go along with it.
Yeah,
I want to understand it.
Give you some context, and also the site's interesting where it actually shows like a map, like a timeline of like when it was popular, how many times it was shared, and you can kind of see it kind of come up and down.
Yeah, it's like it's great that this actual knowledge base exists instead of just being a bunch of internet full of just random imagery with no context.
Which is most of the internet these days.
It really is. So any of it being tracked is a good thing, or chronicalized is a good thing.
So what's your bonus round track?
So my bonus round track actually comes from the game Yoshi's Story, and the track is called Yoshi's on the Beach Ska Cover, and this was done by a group of people, Thunder Scott, 8-Bit Brigadier, and TB for Good, and it is really, really good. Welcome back. You were listening to Yoshi's on the Beach ska cover, a cover from the game Yoshi Story on the N64. This was done by a combination of individuals, talented individuals, Thunder Scott, 8-Bit Brigadier, and TB for Good. I really enjoyed this track. It was already my favorite track from the Yoshi Story game, and most of, not the entirety of that OST is just like very soft, mellow, relaxing music. Even like the fire levels are like relaxing music. So I like that they kicked it up a bit with still relaxing, but energetic, relaxing ska.
It is. It's not like the punky ska, it's like, it's the fun ska.
Mm-hmm.
Fun ska.
It's like, fun ska!
Yeah, it's really, really good. But for more information on the bonus round, you can go to rhythmandpixels.com. We're going to have links to all of these artists' Bandcamps and SoundClouds and places where you can go and support these artists.
But no Zeldas, just links.
Only links. All right, thanks for joining us on episode 31-6, the Nintendo Super Show. Right?
That's how. Yes, the Nintendo Power Hour, a tribute to Gilvis Sunner. Just to get that clarification out the way one last time, it's one of those things where I'm sure Nintendo had their reasons. We don't know what they are because it might have been something we don't know about behind the scenes, beyond the norm. But as a surface level observer, I ultimately feel like, short of them having the intent to release and sell these products, it's almost like a disservice to them as well as the community to not have music being hosted for their games online. And somebody might say you're feeling entitled to free stuff or what have you.
Yeah, I am.
But I'm saying it in the sense of like, hey, if it's not available for just direct purchase, the next best thing is to make it available, because it goes along with the idea of like, why are you even listening to this podcast in the first place?
It generates interest in the property, in the game, and the stuff.
It keeps your game on people's tongues and in their ears.
Yes.
It allows people to feel nostalgia for what they had and experienced, which also in turn makes it, I guess, more profitable when you re-release your games on your consoles to say, hey, come play this game you talked up so much again.
Yeah, we see it as a win-win.
Yeah. So
everybody's winning. Everybody's going to win.
And I, for one, love the fact that VGM has become as popular and as big as it is. I still remember downloading like tracks off of Napster back in college, and it was like you'd be lucky to find tracks half the time because it was still a new thing. People were like, wait, ripping NES carts?
Oh, I know. And before that, like you'd think would be soundtracks to games or songs to games, but they were just MIDI files of like the game music.
Like someone tried to recreate it, right?
Yeah, it's like recreated in MIDI, and you're playing it through your I guess your sound blaster, and you're like, this doesn't sound like whatever, but it's close.
We've come such a long way in VGM preservation and VGM sharing and recollections. I can't even state just how great it is. I mean, if Anthony is listening to this, he'll tell you we used to record OSTs onto cassette tapes. Like off the TV onto a cassette tape, not through an AV cable or anything. Yes. It was literally sounds playing, and you're recording it with a Walkman in your hand, and you'd go to school bopping it with your friends, and you hope no one ran in the room yelling at you while the track is recording, because otherwise you're like, Pernell, you got a phone call. It's like, you ruined the whole thing, Mom. Thanks for nothing.
Halfway through Wily 1 and you get the phones going off, and it's just part of the song now.
And now you can just download Wily Stage 2, Wily Castle 1 from Mega Man 2 anywhere you want, and tell everyone how it's the best Mega Man track ever. It's not, but that's another argument for another time.
Not that it's bad.
Oh, it's a great track. It's a great track.
There's more.
There's more. So much more.
Well, if you want to tell us what your favorite Mega Man track is, the best thing to do is to send us an email.
rhythmandpixels@hotmail.com.
And if you want a full track listing from this episode, from all of our episodes, and access to all of our episodes, go to the website.
rhythmandpixels.com.
And also at the top of that page, it's a link to our Discord server. The Discord server is where you can say hi to us, say hi to other listeners and other enthusiasts of video game music.
We can promise you that people like to talk there, but it's not going to inflate your your notifications to the point where you want to shut them off. Like it's actually just like a relaxing, chill place.
You'll find some cool people, but they're not gonna talk. It's not gonna blow up your inbox. Is what we're trying to say. It's good
a good time.
It's a good time. So check that out there. Also, we're on youtube.com/rhythmandpixels, where our episodes are uploaded there. And we also have a 24/7 radio station. It's a radio station that plays nothing but 8-bit and 16-bit classics and deep cuts. It's a cool thing that is running from my closet.
He's not kidding. It's literally sitting behind me behind a white door.
Yep. It's a little desktop I've turned into a server. So I'm really proud of that thing. So check that out. 8-bit and 16-bit classics at youtube.com/rhythmandpixels. And if you want to support the show, the best thing you can do is tell people about it. Tell your friends. Tell your family. Tell your dog.
Share it over Easter dinner when that comes up.
That's right.
Give it to your Valentine.
Valentine's is coming soon. Yeah. Share your love with the one you love, and then maybe they'll stick around.
Or they'll bop around.
Maybe they won't. Yeah. Or maybe they'll think, man, you listen to some good music.
But if they don't stick around, it's not our fault. Disclaimer.
No. You're welcome.
Even better.
No, you can also support the show and support me and Pernell doing this good work at patreon.com/rhythmandpixels. You get access to little prequel episodes. You get access to a live monthly live stream. You get cool stuff like stickers and mugs and t-shirts. And then at the end of every episode, we like to thank all of our Patreon members at the highest level. We have a new Patreon member that just started today. We want to thank you very much. You signed yourself the number 1.
We'll go with it.
All right. So I'm going to thank 1. I'm wondering if that was a mistake.
Or not. We'll find out what he hears. He's like, 1.
There's a different email address associated with it. But yeah, number 1, thank you. Thank you very much for supporting the show. We'll thank Frankly Zappa, Kristen, Mike Myers, Ulf Person, Vashin8060, Alex Messenger, the Messenger from AVGM Journey, Andreas Milberg, Brian Pitt, Cameron Worma, Carlos Kung Fu Carlito from the Heroes 3 podcast, Chris Tienerson, Chris Weisner, a.k.a. Musashi219,
the wise guy,
Christopher Shenstrom, Davey Cakes, David Taylor, Harold Howard, Justin Schneider from XVGM Radio, Michael Bridgewater from the Forever Sound Version podcast, Michael Jennings, Rage Cage from the VG Emporium. We'll be having him on the show next week. Looking forward to that.
He chose quite the topic, too.
Yeah. Reinhard Zelkova, Romancing Sagat, Sleepy S'more, Steve Miller, Taco, The Autistic Gamer 89, and Ed Wilson from the VG Embassy. Embassy. Well, I'll be on his show, I guess it's next month. That's on a monthly cycle, I think. So it's going to be a long one, and it's going to be fun.
It's going to be toe-tapping good, too.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really good. So definitely check out all of our podcast friends. All of our podcast friends.
Super podcast friends.
Yeah.
Form of Rockin' Tunes.
Yeah. Rockin' Tunes. Rocket-powered Rockin' Tunes. Anyway, thank you, everybody, for listening to the show, for supporting the show. It means a whole lot to us. We'll see you next week. My name is Rob Nichols.
And I'm Pernell.
Have a good day.
Or evening, whenever you listen to the show.
I believe I said good day.
Good day, sir. And remember, I guess in the spirit of the actual episode topic, just keep listening to VGM music. If you like it, continue to listen, support it, be there for it, exchange it, share it with your friends, talk about it with your friends, because if it feels good, do it, but within legal precedence. And that comes especially in the form of things like this, because I've heard other people say this, and I agree with it personally, that video game music and the VGM community in general has a way of lighting a positive torch in otherwise pretty rough space that we're engaged in right now. It's just a good vibe. It's a good place, and I want to see it. I want to see it thrive as much as possible for as long as possible. So, just continue to be a part of it. Continue to engage in it, and continue to just love VGM. That's all I got to say.